I've been thinking about the good times. I've been sleeping through the long nights. I've been shining in the sunlight. I've been thinking how I'm alright. There's a reason for my feelings. There's a reason why I'm healing. Yeah, I feel higher than the ceiling. All because of you. You and I were so sweet, so sweet. Talking till we asleep, asleep. Every night I fall deep in love. Yeah, 'cause you really get me. Make me fall to my knees. Every night I fall deep in love. Yeah, wait a minute. Don't you leave before I get to kiss ya. Wait a minute, I don't wanna be without you. Yeah, wait a minute, I can let you go before I kiss ya. Wait a minute, I just need a minute or two.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a difference. Yeah, the animations are way smoother. Yeah. So my first impressions, other than the obvious camera difference between the two phones, the first thing that struck me was the weight. Like, I've been using the iPhone 12 Pro as my daily driver, my main phone for the past year since it came out. And that's the 12 Pro Max. And then when I got the iPhone 13, it just surprised me how the weight was almost the same, because I subconsciously got used to the weight. So I didn't even notice at the start, but then I thought about it and I was like, whoa, this almost feels the same weight. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max is about 237 grams, and then the iPhone 13 Pro is approximately 204 grams. So the difference is only about 30 grams, and I feel like that extra weight in the iPhone 13 mainly went to the battery and the camera as well, because now the camera is now great and the battery life is now great. And I bought the smaller version of the 13 Pro mainly for the lighter weight, so it wouldn't be as taxing when I mount it on my drone. But it's pretty heavy considering a GoPro is around 117 grams, but it's not something to be concerned about. It can easily be dismissed. We also have a smaller top notch, they moved the speaker. Is it the speaker or the microphone? I think it's the speaker. They removed the speaker to the top of the camera, so now the notches are much more thinner, giving you a bit more screen real estate. And now we're getting ever closer to that notchless, to that full screen display on the iPhone. Maybe another 2-3 years perhaps, I reckon Apple will do it. Make it a full screen display. And of course, ProMotion, the 120 Hz display. Oh, actually, it's a variable display. So whenever you're touching the phone, it will go to 120 Hz. And then after the animation is done, it can revert down to about 10 Hz. So when you're just reading text on a screen without touching the phone. And that is how it maintains a pretty long battery life as well. Now, there's no real way for me to actually show you how ProMotion works. Yes, you can. There is. Now, the main headliner for this new iPhone, the cameras. I could immediately tell the camera difference in quality at first glance, like the bigger aperture and bigger sensor in the camera really does shine through with this iPhone 13. Macro mode's really fun. How often would I use it? That's up for debate, but either way, having that option to come really close to something and maybe read small text, hey, that's kind of convenient. And with the new A15 Bionic chip, I believe the sensor stabilization has also increased as well. But it still worked pretty great from the iPhone 12, so increased sensor stabilization is already a bonus. The flaring problem is still there, like you'll definitely see that ghosting or that green lens flare in your image when shooting into certain light sources. So that's still there. I'm sure Apple's addressing it with future updates or renditions of upcoming iPhones. But the most talked about feature, cinematic mode. And let me just say, the continuous innovation and evolution of computational photography is amazing, and it's really present within this camera, within this iPhone. It works with both the back and front camera. Having the ability to rack focus and bring more attention to your main subject is a great feature to have, and it's usually seen within cinematic films, hence the name cinematic mode. And it works great, like the autofocus is pretty amazing. As long as you're tapping the subject, what you want to be in focus, it usually will focus straight to the subject without hunting at all. But for me, it's not up to like the camera level yet, like it's not up to full sensor camera level yet. I can just tell very easily when something's using fake blur in the background, and that's what this camera is doing, adding a blurred background after the fact. It just leaves this artificial, this fuzzy border around the subject. There will be times when it's almost flawless, like you get the right angle, the right lighting, the right background, and you won't be able to tell. But other times it's pretty easily to tell when something is shot with the iPhone 13 in cinematic mode. The flexibility, however, is amazing. Like I like how much adjustability you have after you've already recorded a video. Being able to pick and choose who or what is in focus and adjust the blurriness of the background after the videos have been already recorded. Like that is, I'm pretty sure that is something pro level cameras will never be able to do unless they implement computational photography into those type of cameras, which, whew, that'll be mind blowing actually. But yeah, cinematic mode, just not for me. Like I'll definitely use it at times, but I'll still prefer using the natural blur from having a low aperture on the iPhone. So the iPhone 13 has a 1.5 aperture on its wide angle lens, I believe, something like that. And just the natural blur that comes from that, that's what I would prefer to use. Like it doesn't leave that border, that fuzzy border around the subject. But for people that primarily use their phone for creating content, this phone is definitely one of the best on the market for that purpose. And with the ProRes codec coming soon to the iPhones, it is just gonna facilitate and expedite the entire post-production process of content creation with the iPhone. And what is ProRes? The short version is ProRes is a codec created by Apple for post-production. Like it's a very easy to handle format for computers to process. Essentially just eliminating buffer and allowing you to edit faster essentially. It's gonna be heavy on your storage space, but it's gonna be a faster editing workflow nonetheless, which is why I believe they added the 1TB version of the new iPhone 13. And the only one thing that's missing, the one thing that will make this the perfect videography and photography iPhone for content creators is a manual mode. The only way I know you can have full control of your camera settings with the iPhone is through a third-party app called Filmic Pro. I'll leave that in the description if you want to check that out. But until Apple implements an innate manual mode, you know, allowing us to have full control of the settings, I can't say it is the photographer iPhone. They're almost there though, because they added RAW shooting capabilities this year, I believe, 2012. It's not 2012, whoa, 2021, which is a step in the right direction. Now we just need that manual mode, and I feel like the iPhone would be almost complete for photography. So should you upgrade? The only reason why I would personally upgrade is literally just for promotion. Like that is the one feature I wanted them to implement into last year's iPhone, the iPhone 12, and they missed it. They were still perfecting it at the time. And as a gamer playing games that was 60 FPS and then coming back to a game that was 30 FPS, it was always jarring on my brain. So having 120 Hz display is just a calming feature for me. That's just about it. But it's almost imperceptible because I showed it to a couple of my friends and some of them noticed the difference, some couldn't tell at all. But I can tell the difference. So that is the only reason why I would upgrade from the 12. But if you have the 12, other than that, there's no real reason because the iPhone 12 camera is already great as well, unless you want to do macro mode photography. If you have the 12 mini, then yeah, I suggest you can upgrade to the iPhone 13. But then again, if you did buy the iPhone 12 mini, I guess you bought it for that small form factor. But any iPhone below the iPhone 12, you know, iPhone 11 down to 1, does the 1 even still exist? Then yeah, I'd say now is a good time to upgrade to the 13. With the new A15 chip, it's a more powerful system, has better overall cameras, it's more robust, more resistant. Still wear a case though and screen protector, like it's a $16.99 Australian. Protect your investments. And depending if you're a light or heavy user of the iPhone in terms of storage, get the either 128 version or the 1TB version. I feel like the 1TB version is more for the pro user. So 1TB is for you if you're doing a lot more phone intensive work. And those are just my recommendations. I intend to make an entire video on the iPhone 13 Pro and do some professional photo shoots with the iPhone, see how they turn out. So if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe for that. But I really want to test out how this thing handles the sky. So turn on that notification bell. But yeah, that'll be all. Those were my first impressions of the iPhone 13 Pro. Let me know if you intend on upgrading to the 13 or if there's anything you want me to test out. Lay it out in the comment section for me. I hope to see you in the next one. Adios, amigos.